Hello, my fellow individuals. I am Mr. Mini Mask Man here, and today I'm going to review Season 6, Episode 8 of Game of Thrones. Now, obviously, if you've not seen the episode, then don't watch this video because, obviously, major spoilers. This episode, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of, it wasn't exactly, at least for me, it wasn't exactly 100% terrible, but I would say this one definitely is my least favorite episode of this season. Because of three major points, but I don't know, the episode, it had potential, but, somewhat so. But yeah, there's a couple things that was interesting, and one or two good scenes, but then after that, everything else could have been better. And I'll explain why in the video, maybe, I'll explain during the episode breakdown. And I don't think, there's not really that much to talk about, to be honest. I'm going to break down the episode as always, what I do in all these videos. But I probably won't get as detailed unless there's something that really strikes me. Or that some theories that I've read online from other people and through social media and so forth. But, yeah, I don't know, this episode... Well, I don't know. Let me break down the episode, and then after that, if there's anything that I need to talk about, I'll talk about it afterwards, like I always do. So the episode begins with a play back in Braavos with Lady Crane. You know, the actress is playing Cersei in that play, and she actually follows Arya's advice. Where it says if it was Cersei's son Joffrey in this case when he died, she would have demanded, to catch their killer, basically Tyrion, and demand, somewhat of her version of justice. But anyway, yeah, she followed Arya's, and, people clapped and all that. And then when she went back inside, in the changing room, she heard something through the rack, and when she finds out it's Arya bleeding out from the last episode, when she got stabbed by the wife, or the waif. However you pronounce it. So Lady Crane basically takes care of her. She probably did, clean the wounds, gave her some soup, and then at the end gave her milk of the poppy. Now, the only thing that was interesting in this scene, when they were having a dialogue, Arya said she wants to go west of Westeros. So, it doesn't seem that her goal is to go back to Westeros, maybe take care of business, whatever she has left on her list. After that, she is curious to adventure beyond Westeros, land that we've never seen before, or if there isn't any, we don't know. So it kind of feels like Arya's now goal is just to adventure off somewhere else and discover new things in the world. So it's kind of interesting, maybe in the end of the series, if she lives, once she takes care of her list of the people that she has to kill left, and, met the Stark family reunited again, then I think she's just going to venture off, I think, to the unknown. So I kind of get that impression now this is Arya's new goal, what she's trying to say. But yeah, Lady Crane gives her milk of the poppy, basically it's almost like the morphine of in Game of Thrones. So, but yeah, just to get her to sleep, reduce the pain and all that, stuff like that. And then, she goes to sleep. Now, next scene, you see a group of guys from the Brotherhood Without Banners, the ones that visited the Hound in the last episode, that killed all the guys that the Hound was, and the Septum, that they were helping, and he was helping. And, they were joking around and just joking around and stuff. And then you see the Hound, right in the background, you see him with an axe and he just starts doing what he had to do. He beheaded the first guy, and then he just starts freaking butchering down. Especially the last guy had it worse. He slashed him right under his crotch, and then he pulled it, and it's pretty goddamn painful, if I say so myself. But and he's asking where's the last guy, the guy with the yellow cloak, the main guy. And, basically doesn't tell him. He, curses him out. He's like, fuck you. He's like, come on, you can do better than that. He's like, cunt. And he's like, you're really shitty. You're really shitty at dying, you know that? And then he kills him. He strikes him down. So the Hound is back at his almost his violent, not really his violent ways, but almost like his sort of version of Justice. Which I'm actually interested in the Hound this season, of his character, of how he's like a bit different, but the Hound that we love, but going on this different path, which I'll explain on the second scene where he shows up in this episode. After that, it goes back to Meereen. Everything's doing well. You see one of the Red Witches, spreading good word for Daenerys. She's, the Lord of Light's favor, I guess. And people are rebuilding Meereen. There's no crime, no murders recently. Tyrion and Varys are walking around. And, basically Tyrion was telling Varys, I told you so. Now, Varys, he says he's going somewhere. We don't know. He says he's on a secret mission. And he probably won't see Tyrion either ever or for quite a while. And he can't take Tyrion because, Tyrion is a big name and is this something secretive. So he sees him with Tyrion, he's, he'll be, what's the word? He'll be discovered. Something like that. But, okay. Now, you know what? But yeah, he's going somewhere, and then that's the last time they see each other. He goes to whatever left of the ships they have left, or the fleet, wherever he's gonna go. We don't know. I might talk about a little bit of that after this breakdown of my little theories that I've heard from other people, or that I think. So, but yeah, so that's basically what happened there. Let's see. After that, it goes to Cersei. Let's see, I forgot I know his name, but I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, Qyburn, that sort of necromancing guy that revived, the Mountain. Yeah, him, he comes to Cersei, and he tells her that, the sparrows, are outside waiting for her, and they wanna, what was it that they wanted to take her, I forgot where, but she confronted him, and Lancel was there, obviously, and he'll tell him to come with them to see the High Sparrow. But she tells him, what? No. Says that he promised me I won't leave the Red Keep until my trial. And he says if he wants to talk to me, he comes here. But they're trying to force her to go there, and then, that from the trailer, what we saw in Season 6, where they say either step aside or there will be violence. She gives that stare. She's like, I choose violence. And then one of the sparrows, I forgot what weapon it was. It was like a staff with two, I don't know if they're like steel, like knives or built-in nails. That's one of the weapons I actually don't know. But anyways, they use that. So it was almost like a club with nails sticking out, or part metal. And he pierces through, Sir Robert Strong, or Sir Gregor Clegane, I don't know, however the show calls him, and it does nothing. It pierces through the armor, but it doesn't do anything. So he grabs the one sparrow that did that. He is choking him out, and then he throws him, and then, dude, it was like a pretty, and then I'll explain this later also at the end of the video. He grabs the guy, and you see that he's almost Kratos style, except with one hand instead of two, where he freaking rips his head off, or at least I think it was the upper part. I can't remember, but you see it from the back side. You don't see it in the front, but you see it from the back, where he just rips his head off like that with one freaking hand. I'm like, jeez. And you see Lancel and all the other sparrows just all terrified, and they just slowly back away. And Cersei just says, hey, if the High Sparrow ever wants to talk to me, just tell him he can just come here anytime. Basically, that's what she said. So, freaking, the Mountain being the Mountain. So that was pretty brutal. And then, okay, the main, I think 1/3 of this episode was focused on in Riverrun. So you see Brienne and Podrick arrive where Jaime is. She goes, talks to Jaime while Podrick's waiting outside, and Bronn sees Podrick, and he's teasing him a lot and all that stuff as usual. Bronn being Bronn, making jokes and so forth, and he's trying to help Podrick a little bit to how to defend himself and all that. in a real fight and so forth. Sort of, jokingly, but at the same time he's being serious. And helping him out, so just some small stuff like that. Now, you see Brienne talking to Jaime, and basically he is asking Jaime if she could convince the Blackfish to go with him and the rest of the Tullys to help Sansa, with the whole Bolton army situation. So basically telling Jaime just not to kill Blackfish and the Tullys because they need him. But Jaime says, I need this I need this part of Riverrun or the castle that they're at. He says I can't go back to King's Landing without following this order because I have to. I want to go back and just follow this order. He has to do it. He said I can't do it. So she says, well, I can maybe convince him, she's telling him, Blackfish, to maybe surrender peacefully if you promise not to harm anything, not a single bloodshed. And she'll take him, to wherever they need it, wherever Sansa is, and he can have, the castle and do his duty, and he goes back, and it's a win-win situation. So, in the end, he agrees. He'll say, okay, but just to let you know, Blackfish is really hard-headed. Says he's probably not going to surrender easily. So, and then after that, Brienne gives her the sword that Jaime gave him. One of the Valyrian steel swords that was from Ned Stark, the one that's split into two swords. She gives him back and she says, I've completed my duty, or my oath, and now, you can have it back. But Jaime, told her to keep it. It's your sword. It's always been your sword. So Brienne now is officially has that Valyrian steel sword. So now Brienne is... Well, we know she always had the sword, but now it's officially hers. It's no longer, I guess you can call it Jaime's sword. Now it's Brienne's sword for good. The Oathkeeper. I think that was the name. So she kept the sword. Now, before she left, she told him, if there's any way where, you guys attack, or if there's a battle going on, if, Blackfish refuses and he's gonna fight against Jaime and the Lannisters in the phrase, he said that she has to fight with the Blackfish because is one of Sansa's kin, or her uncle, I believe, or great uncle, can't recall. He says that we have to, and tells Jaime we possibly have to fight. And he says, I guess so. He says hopefully it won't come to that. But then you see Brienne later in the scene, like Jaime allows her to pass through the bridge to talk to Blackfish. So he goes there, he's trying to convince Blackfish. Blackfish's like, no, he's not going to do it. He says, like, what army does she have? Typical questions what the other houses were asking. And he says as much as he wants to help, he can't. He says, this is my home. I'm worried about my own issues right now. So basically he says, I want to help my family, but this is my family, technically. It is, so, like, my home. So this is his first priority. And he says he's not going to surrender. It's like, there's just no way I'm going to give it to Jaime Lannister like that. He says if he wants to take it, he's going to do it the old-fashioned way. How everybody does it. So in other words, he says if he wants to do it, we're going to have a war, or not a war, a battle. So Brienne really tries. She gives him the letter. He actually reads it. Reminds him of Catelyn Stark. And he really does. He really does, he feels for her, and he kind of does want to help. You can kind of see it. But like I said, right now he says Riverrun is his priority. It's his home. He doesn't want to leave it. So he just tells her, basically, no thanks. I can't help you. I got my own things going on. So Brienne's disappointed by his decision, tells Podrick, to get a raven, and tells Sansa, that she has failed her duty. So let's see, that happens. Okay, it goes back to, I believe it goes back to Cersei now. She goes and where the Iron Throne is, it was him, Hubern or Kibern, and Sir Robert Strong. I'm just gonna call him that, or Sir Gregor Clegane, sorry. And they're walking by, people are just kind of looking at him, and she was gonna go sit in the iron right next to Tommen, But Kevin Lannister, her uncle, tells him no, that she goes up there with the other ladies. So, she goes there, and then Tommen has this announcement. He basically all you have to know in the announcement is, trial by combat is officially illegal, or it just won't happen, because of I assume the High Septon told him. Now, I don't know if the High Septon already had that in mind, or because when Lancel saw the incident, when he killed, one of the sparrows, I think he went back to the High Sparrow, and he says, dude, we can, I mean, not like that, he does say dude, but he basically tells him, we can't beat him in a trial by combat. There's just no way we have anybody strong enough to represent. So probably, the High Sparrow convinced Tommen to get rid of the whole trial by combat. So now, no more trial by combat in King's Landing, at least for now, under Tommen's rule. And basically says the trial will begin pretty soon, pretty close, of her and Loras Tyrell. So Cersei's pretty much, she has ran out of options. That was her last hope, was the trial by combat, because she has the mountain with her. But now that there's no trial by combat, so I don't know. But there's the interesting thing when Tommen leaves, Qyburn talks to her and he says, "Well, my little bird's investigated something that you're looking for, and about the rumors." And she says, and he says, "Oh, there's much more that we found, like much more." And then again, I think I read two theories about this. I think this is quick. I usually save the theories at the end of the video, but I'll say it right now. I don't forget. The main one I keep hearing is that they're talking about the wildfire, that they used in Season 2 during the battle against Stannis Baratheon. They said that he found plenty. I assume the theory that I've read is that he's probably found them somewhere underground in King's Landing hiding, like a bunch of them. So the theory is that because Cersei pretty much knows that she's going to lose the trial, she's going to end up being Mad King Part 2 and just kind of burn the whole King's Landing to the ground. That's the theory that I've read. And it looks like that from the show. And then the really recent theory I've read, and I don't know, it sort of doesn't make sense, because there is some cases, but I see it more like a 5% chance of happening, where what he's talking about, that he probably found Gendry Baratheon, and he's going to use that against Tommen to, claim the throne, because he's the legitimate heir of Baratheon. Now, the reason why I highly doubt that that'll happen is because Cersei will have to confess that Tommen is a Lannister, not a Baratheon at all. Through incest, obviously, what we know, between Jaime and Cersei. And it'll hurt her more than the situation that she has to do. But I don't think it's that. But it was an interesting one I read. But I don't know. If it does happen, then I'm very surprised. But so far, the most popular theory is that they're talking about the wildfire that they have hidden. The little green flask with the, that. So, well, we will see. Probably by episode 10, we'll see what happens. So, I don't know. It could happen. Maybe not. Maybe yes. Episode 10 could be crazy. I know episode 9, and at the end of the video, again, I am really hyped for episode 9. If you saw the promos for episode 9, yes. So I can't wait. I am so hyped for that. Definitely for that episode. But anyways, back to this one. So, he says that, and then if I recall, it goes back to at Meereen. You see Tyrion, Missandei, and Grey Worm just sitting around. Tyrion drinking wine, and basically he's trying to tell him to drink. That whole scene. I laughed because Tyrion being Tyrion, comedic ways. But recently, these episodes are a little, not a lot, but a little bit of this season, it's not really showing Tyrion's, usual full think smart potential, or the things that clever things that he always do, like very important roles. I feel like for some reason this season they're using him more for more of a comic relief, Not exactly, but it's like mostly these scenes of comic relief, and then there's some scenes like when he made the negotiation with the Masters, a few episodes ago, where Tyrion. What we love about Tyrion, besides his humor, obviously, is his wits. So, but yeah. But anyways, this scene, I did laugh. There it was basically Tyrion just telling him, he's trying to make him drink and tell jokes just to loosen up. And and they do. He tells a joke. Nobody laughed. Missandei tries to tell a joke, and Tyrion laughed. It's like a forceful laugh, but he laughed anyways, just to kind of brighten the mood. And Grey Worm just says, that's the worst joke I've ever heard. And then he tries to make a joke, and then it was just bad. But everybody started laughing. Even Grey Worm was smiling when he saw Missandei laughing. They're just having a good time, basically. And then, what was it? And Tyrion, actually, a funny thing. I know it's just a small thing, but Tyrion, he says if Daenerys ruled and all that, if he had the choice of what to do, he would actually have his own little wine vineyard, and make his own wine called Imp's Delight. And then just drink with his friends. That's all he wants. At least that's what he thinks. Once all this is over, once Daenerys has taken over Westeros and so forth. At least that's what he wants to do. So, kind of an interesting thing where it's almost like Tyrion just wants to relax, do his own thing, because he's tired of everything he wants to help politically with his advisement, but, once he got everything settled, he just wants to relax and do his thing. That's what I got at least out of that little small line in the scene. Now, in the middle when they're trying to make more jokes, you hear the Unsullied, they discover something outside. They look out, Tyrion and all of them look out, and it's the Masters on the boat, on the fleet, and they're heading towards Meereen. And then, they're in trouble because now, Missandei says they came back to attack, to take their property back from Meereen. So we have now issues with the Masters already. Now afterwards, it goes back to, it's at night, back at Riverrun, you see Jaime talking to Edmure, Tully. And they're just kind of negotiating, talking. And the only interesting thing you just need to know is that Jaime is trying to tell him that he actually is a good, honorable person. He's almost telling him that he's changed. He's not the same Jaime as before. But Edmure doesn't believe him because of all the things that he's done. And he's really trying very hard to try to do this the right way. But the only way to do it is now, there's two things. There's some people that say what I'm about to say, that it's exactly how he still feels, how he still is. And there's the other side where people said he's just saying that just to go with the plan. Now, basically what he tells Edmure is that he will kill his son or throw him, through a catapult, at the castle, and basically threaten his son, and he says, and I think his wife, from what he married in the Red Wedding, and he says he'll basically kill everybody on his path because he loves Cersei so much. He says he will do anything for Cersei, that he's willing to do all those bad things, like before. Like he says, the things we do for love. Now, people are saying that he still hasn't changed, where they're disappointed from his character development. And then there's others saying that he basically had to lie to convince Edmure, because when he says that, Edmure believes him because he really thinks Jaime is a scum, like before. But it's for me, I'm kind of conflicted. I think he did say that just to, make Edmure believe him, his threats. But he still loves Cersei, for sure. But I don't think he won't go that far anymore, like how he used to be. So it's kind of like a mix of two things. So he still loves Cersei, but I don't think he'll do all those harsh things in reality, like in the beginning. But he had to say it to convince Edmure to do what he has to do. So Edmure goes to the castle, and he commands them to lower the bridge because that's their lord. Obviously Blackfish knows it's a trap, and he tells them not to do it. Don't lower the bridge. Don't let him in. But they're very, loyal to Edmure more than Blackfish. So they just told him to do it. And Blackfish, just kind of, went downstairs, and they let Edmure in. And you see from the distance Jamie and one of Walder Frey's sons, he tells him, like, does this better work, or else we just lost a valuable hostage. Now, you see Edmure enter. He sees the Blackfish, his uncle, and then he goes up the castle, and he tells his men to lower their weapons, drop their weapons, basically surrender. And they just kind of look at him, kind of like shocked, not 100% shocked, but a little disappointed. But the reason Edmure do it is because of Jamie's threat. So while that's happening, you see Blackfish from the back. He goes and sees Brienne and Podrick escaping. And Brienne's telling him, he says, basically, you lost the castle, just come with us. But he told him no, and this is his home. And he says he's willing to fight to the death. He says as much as he wanted to help Sansa, this is his priority again. So he tells both of them to leave, because Edmure told his men to go find Blackfish and arrest him. Arrest him or kill him, I can't remember. And so they're looking for him. And then Blackfish is just he says, I'm gonna, pulls out his sword, like, I haven't had a proper fight in years. And then he goes out there and he's gonna fight. And then you see Brienne and Podrick, they leave on the boat. And then you see back, like, a little afterwards, right after they put the banners, the Lannister and the Frey banners, you see back one of the guys tells Jamie they found Blackfish, and he tells him to bring him in, but they told him he died during while fighting. One of my complaints in that episode was because they did not show at all a Blackfish, how he fought. I wanted to see at least a little bit of action, even if he died. Well, actually, it is debatable, because I don't want to see him go out just like Sir Barristan. Remember from when he got killed by the Sons of the Harpy. Legendary fighter, but killed so easily by amateurs with daggers. So, I don't know if I wanted to see that, completely do the same way, suffer the Sir Barristan way, but they didn't even have the courtesy to show it at all. It's kind of like, oh, he died, by the way. I'm just kind of like, I wanted to see Blackfish fight, at least a little bit. I was really hoping for him and Jamie to fight. That's what I wanted to see, to be honest, but no, and not even a small, they didn't even show his death on screen. There's another off-screen death, so I'm just kind of like, alright. Well, there goes Blackfish. I guess we get his character back this season, and then he's just gone, and he dies of he has an off-screen death. Now, there is a few theories that I read, for people that are saying he's not dead because, off-screen, just like with the Hound, he wasn't confirmed dead because he was off-screen, but he came back. Now, I don't know about Stannis yet, so they say it's confirmed dead from what I hear the producers and all that, but there's still people believing that maybe not, that they're probably lying. So, I don't know, the whole Blackfish thing they're saying, the few people from the Tullys, they helped him escape or run away. Which I don't think it would make sense, because he didn't run away from that fight. And yet, why would he try to fight? I'm sorry, I gotta do something. So, for me, it doesn't make sense, because why would he says he doesn't run away. And yet he wants to fight, but he runs away anyway, so I don't think that would make sense. I actually think he did die. An off-screen death, which is pretty lame for a legendary fighter in the world of Game of Thrones. And I really wanted to see that. Nobody saw him in action, so I wanted to see it, but even if he died quick, he get overgrouped by these people, but nope, nothing. So that's one thing. Okay, I believe after that it goes back to Meereen, where the Masters are shooting their flaming catapults at Meereen, causing destruction. And in the meantime, Tyrion talks to Missandei and Grey Worm that he apologizes that for the negotiation, that he didn't know, that he blames himself. He says it was my fault, but they keep telling him in his face that what he did, this was the result of his negotiation, that they still attacked anyways. So he's like really sympathetic and apologizing, all that. So Grey Worm is ready to fight, and then they hear something on top of the pyramid, like a rattle and a shake. Immediately when that happened, I already knew it was Drogon and Daenerys. I mean, I don't. I mean, there's some people thought it was probably one of the flames from the catapults hit the top of the pyramid, but I immediately knew it was Drogon. So, anyways, they look out just to check what it is, the Unsullied, and then they bow down, and then you see Daenerys walk in. So Daenerys is finally back in Meereen, at least. So at least we got that covered. She doesn't say where. She just looks at all three of them, and then you see Drogon just kind of fly off. I don't know if he's just flying off, but yeah. And then it jumps to the next scene. Now here, again, I also wanted to see at least Drogon like just kind of fly around and start torching some of the boats from a distance. Something, I mean, a little action. I'm not asking for a lot, at least something. But unless they save that for episode 10. But I don't know, I'll have to see. On that one I could kind of let it slide, but I was expecting, I don't know, a little bit of something. Like, I was either expecting Drogon to come in and start torching him, or the Greyjoys, or maybe that will happen. The Greyjoys will come in and take care of the fleet of the Masters. And that's where they make a pact with Daenerys. That's what I think might happen. That's my theory. Now, after that, it goes to the Hound again, and he finds the last guy that he needed to kill, the guy in the yellow cloak. And he sees two other guys with him, but they're already about to be hanged in a tree. And then we see the return of Sir Beric, and I apologize for the other person's name, but the Red Priest, the one that keeps reviving him. But you see those two again, and they see him. It's like, oh, it's Sandor Clegane. And he tells him, why are you hanging him? And he says, well, they basically took our name and basically they're ruining our reputation for killing those villagers. And basically telling, well, I'm here because they killed those villagers or my friends, or one of them was my friend. And basically, revenge and all that. So they were debating, like, he wanted to kill, Sir Beric says, okay, fine, you can take one. He's like, no, two. And the Hound says. And he says, alright, two. And he was going to kill him with an axe, but they say, nope, hang him. And he just kind of got pissed off, but he hung him anyway, so he kicked the box under the crate, where the first guy hanged, and then the guy with the yellow clothes goes, please don't kill me, I'll do anything, but he still kicks it anyways and hangs him. And then, Sir Beric kicks the other crate, and then all three of them are hanging, whilst the Hound takes the yellow cloaks guy's boots for himself. Okay, now this scene, they're just basically sitting around talking, just casual talk, and then they mention they really want the Hound to join them, to join the Brotherhoods Without Banners, because they need a good fighter. And, he tells them basically no, that he doesn't fit, or that he wanted to try but it didn't work out because of, obviously, from what happened last time. Now, this here is interesting. It kind of looks like, because the Brothers Without Banners, I think they're heading towards the north, and they want to prepare for a fight. I don't know if they're talking about the White Walkers. They're preparing some for that, and they'll maybe join Sansa, Jon Snow, and all that. I don't know. But they're looking for a fight, again, like I said, up in the north. And they need him. So, will we see the Hound actually join the Brotherhoods Without Banners? I think so. Like I said, that's what I like. It's like this Hound's going in a different path. Like, he's still the same Hound, but he's going, in this better path, I would say, for himself. Not just being just the guy that slays people because they command them to, like the Hound, on his name. So it's almost like, I think he kind of lost that title. Not lost it, but he dropped that title, just to call him Sandor Clegane. Because he's no longer the Hound. He doesn't take orders anymore from his king and all that, just to butcher people. So yeah, this is an interesting path. Actually, I'm interested. This was one of the only things that I liked from this episode was, the Hound. I'll still call him the Hound, but you know who I mean. On the path that he's going with the Brotherhood Without Banners. And it'll be pretty tight if we see him fight with the freaking White Walkers, or whoever he's fighting for, or against. As long as it's not the good guys. So, but yeah. Very last thing. we see Arya still kind of passed out, sleeping a little bit. You see Lady Crane getting something, and obviously you see the wife in the background. And then you hear a noise. Arya looks. Lady Crane is dead. Basically killed her. And the wife just tells her, you know, she could have died painlessly if you would have done your job, but now I had to do this. But you know, the faceless god. The faceless god, he demands another name. Okay, and this was my complaint again in this episode. You know, their major one. The whole time you see Arya jump, you know, down, still wounded, but jumps down, and perfectly runs fine after that fall, and all that. And basically the wife just starts acting like the frickin' Terminator. Like in the I think Terminator 2, I think if I recall. And the T-100, I think, yeah. And just exactly like the looks, the movements. And it just felt, I don't know, that scene felt so, not very Game of Thrones like. It just felt very typical Hollywood action, chasing scene. So you just kind of see them running, Arya running away. And then, you know, I think she makes a big jump and she falls through these stairs where she's hitting fruits. And then that's where her wound splits open. So she's bleeding again, and the wife, you know, sees her, and she's leaving marks as she's going in this, you know, different little part of this alley. And she's leaving blood marks. And I already knew she's doing that on purpose. So she follows her, and they go to this dark room where we saw Arya, where she took Needle back in there with a candle. And you see one candle, and then the wife closes the door and tells her to either stand on her knees or bend on her knees or stand up for her death. So Arya gets up, and just as the wife's about to strike, Arya gets Needle and she cuts the candle, slices the candle in half. It goes to black, and then immediately it jumps to the house of black and white. And then you see Jack in a car sees the blood. You look at the walls of the faces, and you see the wife's face, like not even perfectly. It's like all bloody, no eye. No, not even no eyelids, it's just like that. And you see Arya gets her Needle and tells him, "You sent her to kill me." And he says, "Yes, but, you know, you're here and she's there. The faceless god is pleased. And now you're finally no one." And then Arya just tells him, "I am Arya Stark of Winterfell and I'm going home." And then you see Jack in a car, he actually kind of smirks. Like, he's kind of happy, and that was an interesting scene. And then you just see her walk off, and that's the end. But basically, that was the episode. Now, my complaint in that last scene was because of the chase scene. It didn't feel like very Game of Thrones, like at least in the first 4 seasons. It kind of felt like, again, very Hollywood-esque chase scene. And as for being, at least for the Faceless Men, they're assassins, so they do their stuff hidden, and yet the wife is like right in the open, causing attention, bumping into people when she's trying to kill someone. It's not much of a good assassin, to be honest. To be of one of the Faceless Men, that's not how they work. So, and then what I felt that I was kind of cheated was when I wanted to see the wife or Arya fight, but again, they took that away. It just went to black, and that's it. Now, I understand it's hard to record in the dark, or I know they could do the night vision thing, but the night vision doesn't belong in Game of Thrones. It would just been very weird if they did that. So if they're gonna go with that idea, what I at least expected to hear, I was to maybe hear noises like the sword and a dagger hit a little bit. You hear them grunting and all that, and then you hear a couple stabs and slashes. And then you see probably from the door where she closed, you see the door open, and maybe you see the wife crawling and bleeding, and then you see Arya from the back just like, you know, stab her like through the neck, or so, you know, just basically executes the wife like in a very, you know, brutal manner. At least that I would have seen. If they would have showed the fight, at least I wanted to see a satisfying kill, instead of just saying, well, at least she killed her, but at least something. It just felt like, you know, cut to black. Because kind of longing for that between her and the wife. You know, fighting to the death. Or maybe not like in a duel, but you know, just, you know, fight. But again, just nothing. Like I said, not even the audio of them doing anything. But I don't know. Like I said, I was like, okay, whatever. So like I said, 2 or 3 scenes where we could have seen at least something cool, and maybe not that much, but at least something. But they took that away from me, or from maybe the people that expected that too. So, like I said again, oh, before I forget, the Varys thing, what I was thinking about. Now, the theory that I've read. Varys, people are saying every time Varys leaves is when Dany arrives. So a lot of people are suggesting that Varys is actually the leader of Sons of the Harpy, the ones that's paying him. And he wants to kill Daenerys, which I can't 100% say that maybe he is or maybe he isn't, because Varys, almost like Littlefinger's kind of, you don't know what's his true intention, even though he did say that he wants to protect the realm, but I don't know if that's part of it. Like, he kind of sees Daenerys as a threat and wants to get rid of her. But I don't know, that one I'm not sure yet. I still don't know exactly what he's up to. So that's one thing that I've read. Second thing that I've read, which was pretty interesting. I've read from 1 or 2 people through online that they mentioned that Varys is actually going to Dorne. Which, you know, we haven't seen Dorne since the first episode, which, to be honest, I'm glad, because they screwed up Dorne. I'm glad they didn't show Dorne again this season, at least for now. But, yeah, so they said he's going to Dorne to maybe take care of business there. We don't know what, but something. So that's another funny theory where he's going. It's a possibility. Or maybe he's going to convince them to join because, you know, the Martells were in alliance with the Targaryens, so maybe he's trying to help Daenerys to join again. You know, talk with the Sand Snakes and Illyria to help Daenerys for an alliance. Maybe. That's one thing. That's another thing. Now, I'm not a book reader, but I've read some things, and a friend of mine is a book reader, so he told me some stuff that happens. But the last thing that I'm thinking, maybe this is where, I don't know if this is, there's not that much after season 6, they're reducing the episodes for season 7 and 8, so there's not going to be that many episodes left. So I was thinking this, but it's possibly not, but maybe this is where Varys meets Aegon Targaryen. You know, that whole situation. I don't know. Maybe when he goes on sale, he finds another people on sale, and he sees that they're hiding this kid, and this kid reveals to be another Targaryen, Aegon Targaryen. Now, I don't know if they're going to do that. I don't think so, to be honest, because like I said, there's not that much episodes left after season 6. I don't think that they cram that storyline in there, another character and so forth. So, just like with the Lady Stoneheart deal, like, I think after this episode, I don't think there's no Lady Stoneheart. Since Sir Beric is still leading the Brotherhood of Banners, he's still alive. He didn't sacrifice his life to revive Catelyn Stark, so yeah. I mean, so I think at least for those 2 theories, they're out. And then that really cool theory, I would actually loved what they did back in Arya, her arc, because now Arya's whole training is over. So, which is kind of funny. So, the thing about Jaqen H'ghar is actually not training her to be one of the Faceless Men. He's just helping her out. He sees that she, from what I've seen, from what other people mention, that she, after the death of Ned Stark, she just kind of sees herself lost and doesn't know what to do. Is filled with anger and vengeance. But Jaqen H'ghar is like, he kind of sees that in her in the beginning when he met, and I think he just wanted to help her get to that through that path since the very beginning. It was like since that day he met, he's like he slowly trained her to become a good assassin, but not for the Faceless Men, not for them, because he knows Arya Stark wants her vengeance. He knew it's like he knew that she didn't want to be no one, you know, like their motto. So that's why he was happy when she finally told him she is Arya Stark, you know, and she's gonna do what she wanted to do in the first place. So he prepared her for that. That's what I've at least seen from that, or felt during that scene. He was just training her the whole time to get to that point. So I'm at least happy that Arya's arc on that part is done, and she moves on and she goes back to Westeros. And then which I think will probably be maybe episode 10 or the beginning of season 7. So, but I'm glad she's going back. So whatever she's done, she's done. Now she's got whatever training she has. It might not be like the best out there from what I've seen this season and a little bit of the previous. It felt like it was still short, like she still needed more training, but you know, whatever. They're just gonna move on, I guess. So we'll see what she does there. But yeah. So that's done. And she moves on to her next part of the story. But yeah. So overall, this episode, like I said, now this was my least favorite of this season. Or even one of my least favorite in almost the whole series. Because for me, I felt cheated in that they took away 2 or 3 good scenes that could have happened. Immediately took it out. And a few other things that I mentioned. So, again, I don't know, this episode just, you know, I don't know. So, it was barely, like, alright. Like, barely okay-ish, barely mediocre, I would say this episode was overall. But there was interesting things, like I pointed out, from the theories I read or from what I thought. So, I think that's pretty much all I got to talk about this. And just the one last thing. Can't wait for episode 9. The big freaking this whole episode, from what I see in the promos, is just going to focus between the battle of Jon Snow and all his army against the Ramsay Bolton and his army. Just freaking duke it out. So this will at least repay for episode 8. So I can't wait for that episode. I don't think anyone can wait. So I'm definitely hyped for that episode. That's the one I can't wait to see this Sunday. But yeah, can't wait. So this video has actually gone pretty damn long for an episode that didn't really happen much. I need to learn how to shorten this reviews if I'm just kind of blabbering on. But anyways, yeah. So I'm just gonna cut it now. So anyways, thank you guys and gals for watching. And if you like this video, you know what to do. So yeah, I'm gonna call it a night. So you guys have a nice day.